Yo, what's up? I'm Q Harrison Terry, and you're now checking out WTF. Now, for those that are new to this, I'm gonna get to that. But we got a special guest in the building. Mike, what's good, man? How you been?
Oh, special. I'm pretty regular, but I'm doing great. Pumped for
Hey, man.
episode 2. Pumped to hear your thoughts on AI music.
Always a special guest when you're helping me produce the show. You know what I'm saying? So we're here. We're gonna make it happen. Today, I'm gonna be talking about what the future of AI music is. And for those that don't know, every day I ask myself, what's the future? And I take detailed notes and put them in a journal. You can view that journal, also known as my WTF journal, at everydays.wtf. It's a very important website. I would go type it into my URL and bookmark it if you haven't already, because all of the things that I'm going to mention today, all the tutorials, all the things that I get into are going to be found on that website. That's literally my journal. We make it happen. Mike's the man that's helping us get you the show so you can see that there is a lot of things that go into it. But all that aside, one of the things that I've just been fascinated by today was this whole concept that, we have AI music, it exists, and it's such a big problem that Google and Universal Music are negotiating a deal over AI deepfakes. Now, the Financial Times covered this in depth earlier today, but there's a few things that I think the average person just might not understand when it comes to AI music and why this is such a big deal for all of our futures. So, in a short summary, Google and Universal Music are in talks to license artists' melodies and voices for songs generated by AI. And, as the music business tries to figure out what the next monetization tier is, they're going to really start making these deals. And this is probably the first of many. Now, the thing about this deal and why it's so prolific is because it didn't just happen overnight. Like, this was not something that Universal and Google said, yo, we're going to do this because we want to. They were basically forced to. And, it's a fly by night deal, not out of like leisure and pleasure and hey, we've got this killer concept that's going to take over the game. It was really like we've got generative AI, it's on our tails, and every creative out there is basically using AI to some capacity, and musicians are now doing it. They're making deep fake songs of our top artists. And you take a record label like Universal Music, they represent some of the biggest artists in the world. They've got Taylor Swift, Drake, and many more. And so when you have programmers just mimicking their voices, their lyrics, their sounds, their sonic identity, you're now messing with their bread and butter. This is their livelihood. And so it was a big deal. Mike, what's your take?
Dude, what WTF is even an AI song? That's my
Oh,
take. My take is just I don't understand it yet.
all right, that's fair. That's fair. So for those that don't know, I'm just gonna tell a story. So an AI song is this whole concept where you can give the song like you can give the you can basically create your own reference track. So an example that I have from my life for Mother's Day, I've given my mom just about everything that I could give her, and I was just like, man, what can I give my mom this year that's gonna make her smile and she's gonna be like, wow, wow. So, you know what I did, Mike? I gave her an AI song. I just dropped you that link. So let's go ahead and play that so the rest of you all can see it and hear it.
This light of mine, finna let it shine. Finna take out back to them better times. Talking about the mama Q, Alexis and Miles. Real young, growing up in a mill. Every year, every day, get a meal. Fixing up something good for the soul. Chicken noodle soup, can we get a bowl? Working late nights just to keep on the lights. Mom got training us so we could get our bikes.
Yeah, what you think about that, Mike?
Dude, that was so walk me through that. Like I get it. I hear that song. That sounds just like a normal great song. Like you're telling me that was just like artificial intelligence that
Yeah,
made it. How does
yeah.
it how does that even work?
So Hey Ma, that's a song by Kanye West. And Kanye never said any of those things. He's never talked about the mill. He's from Chicago. Like the mill in this instance is Milwaukee. And like, he doesn't know my mom. And like, how would he put her name in his song? And so it was one of those things where we recorded a reference track. I'll put that reference track in the everyday's notes on everydays.wtf. And we then constructed with an AI algorithm the song that you just heard. And I'll put this full song over there as well. But my whole thing here is like, dude, this AI stuff is mad real. Like this is not a joke. This is nothing to be messing with. And so I'm not the only person that feels that way. Like in the Financial Times article, even the general counsel to Universal Music, he had this interesting quote where he said, "An artist's voice is often the most valuable part of their livelihood and public persona, and to steal it, no matter the means, is wrong." And this is the chief legal officer for Universal, and he's like, "Yo, this is bad." And I mean, when I think of stuff like that, I'm like, okay, that's one way to look at it. But on the flip side, you've got artists like Grimes who has literally said, look, there's some good stuff in this AI music world. And, it's in line with even some of the things that I'm creating and putting on my next album. And so it's like, on one hand, I get to live forever because the listeners and my fans actually know what type of music I want to create, and they're continuing that. But at the same time, like, where did the royalties go? And like that's the question that a lot of people are wondering on all sides, the artists and including the fans, because they're like, if I made this work, isn't it my work? So I mean, when it comes down to it, Mike, like when I look at what's happening in music, right? The report I was reading the other day, I'll link to this on everydays.wtf too. This is by TuneCore. And they were talking about AI and music. And what was interesting about this is they're saying that 27% of artists have used some type of AI music tools within their creative endeavors. So that's either to create artwork, create promo assets, engage fans, to actually make the music. And I mean, like, Mike, what's your take? Because 27% for this to be like months old is insane.
Yeah, and my curiosity lies right there in the question, like how specifically are these artists using it, right? It's one thing to just say, hey, artists are using the tool. Like I'm more interested in the details of actually like what is the application? And then like also on the other side, artists that are kind of shying away from AI, whether it's using it in their own creative process or like they just don't want any part of these deep fakes and other people kind of using their stuff. Where do they fit in? So it's both sides of that spectrum.
Yeah, so I follow you. Like what's the future of AI music? Like that's a great question. And so there's some glimpses that we can get from the actual Financial Times article, and then I'm going to go on like some just tirades that I've seen on my own account. So one of the chief executives over at Warner said that with the right frameworks in place, AI could enable fans to just pay their artists, like the heroes, the people that they look up to, by creating these new versions of mashups or remixes and cover songs. And I think that's a good way to look at it. It reminded me of this whole concept of what are music NFTs. And Jason Hitchcock put this tweet out a few weeks ago where he was like, I don't get music NFTs. Like, does it look like Spotify? Yeah. What's up?
Well, so many other like new technology innovations and creativity have to do with distribution, right? So that's what Jason's referencing is Spotify and distributing and listening.
Yeah. And so like Sean Puri responded and he was like, hey, I've got a different example. Like, imagine there's this generative AI music player. It's going to make music based on your inputs, sort of like Midjourney. And instead of images, it's going to give you songs. And if you make a song that you like, you basically take that and you push this to, let's just say, the AI version of SoundCloud. And now there's the music groups that can just deal directly with that platform. And the artist can go there to look and see what mashups are being made. And the fans that want to listen to AI covers, they know that that's like the music that would exist there. And so I think that Bandcamp solved a need. We've seen SoundCloud solve needs. We've seen Spotify solve needs. Like, why can't there just be another music streaming platform where all this AI stuff goes? I agree with Sean on that. So, to just kind of capture this thought, I thought the Financial Times article ended on a pretty interesting take. The whole concept of music executives and Google doing a deal. This isn't something that we've seen before, because of generative AI, but we've seen obviously music licensing being utilized in ways that it wasn't originally intended to be. And the last time that happened, was the early days of YouTube, when people would just make a YouTube video, add a song, and upload it to YouTube, and there was no royalties or streaming rights to be had. And so you had like this whole era of like the DMCA, or the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, where people were just basically doing these takedown requests or getting YouTube strikes. And it was the chaotic situation. The creators were feeling punished for using copyrighted music that they had no clue that was copyrighted, and the labels wanted to get paid what the creators were getting paid, but they didn't necessarily know how to enforce that. And so that ultimately landed in a range of $2 billion of royalties that are now paid out annually, which is kind of cool. So there's now money generated from that goes to the artists, and the creators are now happy because there's a clear cut way to actually use that. And I mean, 2 billion it's a decent number for something that you wouldn't really think of in your pastime. So we have that. I'm going to finish the rest of the thoughts out here as far as where I think this could go on everydays.wtf. Again, every day I take notes and I ask myself, what's the future? And I jot those notes down in my WTF journal. That is where you can access it, at everydays.wtf. And beyond that, I will catch you in the future. Mike, it's been a pleasure. And
thank you for sharing that knowledge. Excited to catch more in the future, because this is surely a topic we'll cover again.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll catch you there.